Hello, today I'm going to mount my last new winter tire on the rim. The rims are new, the tires are new, and I've seen various videos on YouTube on how to do that. However, I did not have much success with spoons and crowbars and stuff like that. So I decided to purchase some tools. One of them is a manual tire changer, which is this one here. This is similar to the one that you get from Harbor Freight, except this one is from Laurin, L-A-R-I-N, which appears to be a little bit thicker metal than you get from the Harbor Freight variety, and instead of being red, it's painted gray. And the plywood I have underneath is really not wide enough, but it happens to be the piece I had. So I secured it with some carriage bolts, and there's a piece that goes in here which I don't have connected at the moment, but this is for breaking your tire bead. And I put some a cardboard here, cutouts, so that the rim is not damaged or scratched. So these are the tire. This is the tire, sorry, I'm going to put on. It's a Bridgestone Blizzak, and it is, let's see if I can get the thing to focus. It's a 255/60 R18. Now the car this is going on is a Ford Explorer, which has stock 20-inch rims. However, I couldn't find a winter rim, steel rim, that is 20-inch. So I decided to get the 18s, it's the biggest ones I could find, and just upsize the tire. And so I was able to do that. And this is the last tire. I got 3 of them on, 1 to go. Now, mounting, I was able to mount the first part, which is pretty easy. You just basically lube it up and then put the first part of the rim in, and the second part is really where the bulk of the work is. And this kit that I bought here, now in order to make the rim and tire slippery, all I'm using is some water and dish soap. So I'm going to put that on. A little bit more. Put some Dawn in here. Now I also purchased a Nomar tire changer bar, because I found that the usual spoons and the bar that comes with the Laurin tire changer is it's not good for trying to avoid scratches on the rim. So let's just mix this in. Okay, so I've applied the Surrey on the rim, and as you can see, these rims, I decided to put the tire pressure monitor sensors on all 4, so that was an extra purchase. I do like the system to be able to check the pressure from the car. Of course you can do it with a manual pressure gauge as well. Okay, so the next step is to put it on here. Okay, so I've put the tire onto the tire changer. Now with the rim and the tire, they're not that light. They're about 70 pounds a piece. And this tire has a yellow dot, so usually if you have a yellow or red dot, that's the lightest part of the tire, so it makes sense to match it with the valve stem. And since this has a sensor on it, it's going to add a little more weight, so we'll have to compensate for that when we do the balancing. Usually if you have the red dot, that takes priority over the yellow dot. And if you have no dots, well, then you don't have to worry about it. Okay, so the next step is to basically put some lube around the tire rim here and the tire as well. Okay, so I have the tire mounted, it's secured, got the screw on top, it's secured. I have another piece of cardboard here to prevent any scratches. Now with the Nomar leverage bar, it comes with this item called the yellow thing, and basically you just put that on there to make sure that as you're moving this around, this tire will basically start to slip around, so this will prevent that. Now with the yellow dot, what I usually do is as you move it around, there's going to be some movement, so I usually put this a little bit to the right, so to account for the bit of movement that'll happen as you put the tire on, so that way at the end it should be matched up. As long as it's within an inch or so of this, it should be okay. This is definitely the toughest part, is to mount this, and you want to have this part down and the back part high enough so that it's in the drop center area of the rim. Without doing that, you're going to really struggle. That drop center will give you the extra bit of room that you can use when you stretch the tire on. Now I've moved it around probably a little bit more than halfway. This is the part that is the most difficult, getting it past this section here. Once you get past this section, the rest of it will just drop into place. But this will definitely takes a lot of force to go in. So basically you want to lube underneath this tire and on the rim to make it as slippery as possible. Okay, set the camera down. I'm going to show, hopefully it'll go in without too much difficulty. Here we go. To make this a little easier, I took the valve stem out just in case there was any point where it was catching air and it would make it more difficult. And the other thing is to basically move this down as much as possible. So try to get it, there we go. Try to get it down so it gives us a little bit more room to power this thing through and get the tire onto the rim. Okay, go a little further, put some more dishwash fluid on there, and this is the last hurrah, trying to power this thing through. That's the toughest part. Okay, so I had to reposition the tire a little bit so I'd have more leverage with the plywood I have as the floor, so I moved it over a little bit this way, moved it over one ring, and that was able to give me the leverage I needed in order to get this past the point of no return, where basically the rest of this is going to be very easy. So just grab the bar, on we go, just like that. Now the other thing is, if you happen to purchase this bar, usually this is they advise you to mount it perpendicular to the head. What I found is I had to angle it up a little bit because it was basically interfering, it was coming in contact with the tire. So that gave me a little bit more space. And okay, it's on. And now basically we want to test it for any leaks. We'll put the air in it, put the valve stem back in, and then the next step is to balance it. before putting air in it or balancing it, what I want to do is, because of all of the dishwasher soap, anything that's gotten in the tire, I leave the valve stem open and leave it for a day or two so that it has a chance to dry out. Then I put the air in it. Here's the tire waiting to dry out, and as you can see, the yellow dot's pretty nicely lined up with the stem. Okay, so after pumping these tires up, this requires 35 psi, so they're pumped up to that level, and this is on a little bubble balancer, and as you can see, dead center. Now basically what you do is you take these little weights. I have quarter ounce rather. So if we put that on the edge here, and you can see the bubble moves in the opposite direction. Put it up over here. Wait for it to settle. And you can see that the bubble it moves away from the weight. So anyway, this tire required a little bit of weight on it, but not much. 3 of these. So here's the bubble balancer without the tire on it. And as you can see, there are 3 screws that are used to center the bubble so you have a reference. Now, one problem I found with these bubble balancers is that these screws, depending on where they are in their travel, can be very sensitive to movement, especially when you put a heavy tire on this. It's spring-loaded, it'll move it down, and if you do any kind of clunking, it could actually move the screw and then disturb your balance while your tire is on there, and that is the reason I was getting inconsistent results. As soon as I found a good place to put the trowel of these screws, I didn't have that problem anymore. Also, the base that this is on, I wanted to make sure that it was level. So that's pretty level that way. If we put it here, it's a little off, but it's pretty close. The idea is that you do compensate with these adjustments, but as you move, if you turn this around, you basically you should keep this from turning when you balance, when you set the reference and balance. You shouldn't be turning this around. You should keep it at the same orientation. And with that, you should be able to balance your tires nicely. Here's the tire that I had on the balancer, and it needed 3 1/4 ounce weights at this location, and to stick them in. I prefer the stick-on weights rather than the lead weights that you put on the rim. No scratching. Hopefully the glue is very strong and it'll hold these on. So here's the tire mounted on the car. Late model 2019 Ford Explorer, and to my surprise, I did not have to do anything special to relearn the TPMS sensor. The car recognized them right away, didn't have to do anything, so that was great. And what I also do is, these are winter tires, and they're black. So basically, I put grease all along the rims and along the holes, inside and outside, and in the center here. You do not want to put any grease on the inside that's mounting to the hub. You want that to be You want the friction to be there so that it doesn't rock back and forth because of the grease. You want nothing there. Only on the outside's fine. So I did take this out on the highway, and I went up to 80 miles an hour and no shakes. So thanks for watching.